everyone, welcome back to TGR, that's Gaming Robo. Now today the video that we're doing for you guys is the best players to buy on Championship Manager 0102. Now we've added some extra names onto this list. So first of all, we're just going to go straight in depth with the list and get cracking and show you all the players that we have on our list. So guys, the first person on our list, as everyone would know, is Julius Aghahowa. Fantastic player, fantastic person to have in your team, an immense attacking midfielder, and you can get him for very cheap as well. Now the next person on our list, once again who everyone knows and loves, is Julio Arca. It does take some persuasion from against Sunderland to try and let him go. I tried to sign him in the first season. I think it cost me nearly £16 million when I was managing Chelsea. So unfortunately, it does take a lot of money to try and snap him in the first season. The third person that we've got is Kennedy Bakircioglu. Now I know I always say his name wrong. I do apologise, but this guy, I love this guy. I think he's an absolute immense player on this game. And one obviously that a lot of people don't usually talk about anymore, but once again you can get him on the cheap, probably looking about £500,000 at the very most. Luke Beckett. Now once again, this is a player that no one ever talks about. He plays for Chesterfield, and with that, I mean, you're probably looking about £500,000 to probably get Chesterfield to agree to sell him to you. But he's another player that will bag you lots and lots of goals, and if you manage to get him partnering up with Michael Dunwell, you've got a fantastic forward partnership. Now after Beckett, one of the best goalkeepers on the game, Chiotis. Everyone knows how much of a legend he is on this game, and he doesn't let you down. Once again, you can get him for dirt cheap. From AEK's value just under 400,000, so you're probably looking about 700 or 800,000 pounds to sign him up. Mike Duff, everyone knows of Mike Duff. Obviously, it says he's English here, but yes, someone pointed out on a comment on one of the videos, which is true. He is actually declared for Northern Ireland, not English on this game. But once again, you can probably sign him for about £70,000. So another very cheap player. Mentioned his name already, Michael Dunwell. A lot of people say he's class, but no one ever puts him on a list that recommends him, which I think is abysmal. If no one puts this man on their list saying that he's a really good player to buy, then I'm sorry, you need to buy him and play him, and you can see what he brings to your team. Now, if you're managing a lower league team, you're probably looking about £100,000 to buy him. If you're managing a higher league team, then you're probably looking about 250, maybe 500,000, because Bishop Auckland says, oh, he's an important player for their first team. Once again, another player that no one ever mentions, Felix Etienne, right back, and he also plays at centre back. But you look at his stats; he looks absolutely phenomenal. It says that he is declared for Ivory Coast, but if you leave him for a couple of years, he does gain Spanish nationality, and with that, obviously, you won't need to go through a work permit process, which is a really, really good thing to have, of course. But once again, you're probably looking about 3, maybe 4 million to buy him. So he doesn't come cheap from Levante, unfortunately. Sebastian Frey, the ultimate goalkeeper on this game. Not cheap. He's young. He's very expensive. You're looking about 15 million because Parma just does not refuse. They just refuse to sell him to you or anyone else, so it does take a lot of money to prize him away from Parma. Justin Georcelin, now he is a goal machine for the lower leagues. I bought him for Torquay United one time, and he was banging in goals left, right, centre. off his chest, off his bum, off his head, any part of his body, he will score a goal for you. And he brings 30, 40 goals a season easily. Eldar, I never try to pronounce his surname because I always get it wrong, but Eldar, you're looking at a cool £1 million to get him away from Lynn, maybe even £500,000 if you can actually drag it down. But even though he plays, it shows he's a forward, his best position is an attacker midfielder. He brings you so much more assists and so many goals for your team. Now, the next person on my list, no one ever mentions once again, which is a crime, Carlos Jacques. He's a fantastic attacker midfielder player, and there's one where you can, if you're playing a 2-man or even a 3-man attacker midfield inside, him partnering along with Kim Kallstrom, Veron, or Juan Pablo Aymar, just to name a few, you'll see the transformation in Carlos Jacques, and he is phenomenally brilliant. João Paiva, unbelievable striker. I can't believe he's a free transfer at the start of the game. But João Paiva guarantees you goals, and more goals. And if you sign him for a lower league club, I mean, you only need to offer literally £300-400 and he signs a contract for you. Moukoko, Norwegian, fantastic player. He can play obviously in defensive midfield. He can play up front as well, but obviously his main strengths, as you can see looking at his stats, is going in defence, maybe defensive midfield roles. But he's really young, 20 years of age, so you've got him for at least 15 years if you buy him at the start of the game. Mark Kerr. Everyone knows who Mark Kerr is. Everyone knows he's a legend in the game. Once again, if you don't buy him at the start of the game, Hibernian seems to always get him if you don't get him by August. So make sure you put a bid in for £800,000 and you can sign him up straight away like that. Chris Kirkland, another really good young goalkeeper. Maybe not to the heights of Sebastian Frey, but nonetheless, he is an amazing young English goalkeeper. It does take a lot to prize him away from Liverpool, unfortunately, but he is a really good asset to your team if, of course, you do go to buy him. Klompe, one of the best left-footed central defenders you will find on this game. He is absolutely phenomenal, fantastic player. He's not one of these guys that, you look at him and think, okay, he's good for a sub player, I guess, or a squad player, fringe player, etc. No, he is that good. He can start in your team straight away, regardless who you're managing. He is a fantastic player, and one that it does cost a lot of money to prize him away from Herenveen. But once you do get him, you will not be sorry. He is that good of a defender. Chun-Soo. Not many people say Chun-Soo, unfortunately. I think he's a really good player, even though you do have to go through the work permit process. I mean, if you do struggle with work permits, we do have a video on work permit cheats on our channel, so please make sure you do look at that to give you some tips. But going back to Chun-Soo, fantastic player. He brings you 20-30 goals easily every season. So he's one player that you should definitely consider to buy in the future if you're managing a Division 1 Premier League side, or obviously overseas top league, of course. Teddy Lucic. Now I know he's 28 years old. He's only got about 7 years left in him on this game before he retires, but fantastic defender. There's not really much you can say apart from the fact that you can get him very, very cheap. Even though he's valued at 200,000, you're probably looking at paying about 5, maybe 600,000. But then again, you've got a really world-class defender in your team with Teddy Lucic. Milevskiy. I know I said the name wrong, do apologise, but This guy, he can play in defence, defensive midfield, left centre. He's either-footed, but he's a real cheap player. A bit like Maxim Cygalko, he plays for the Belarusian national side. He's only valued at £130,000. So he is another player that you guys should really invest in because he develops into a world-class player. Everyone knows Tonton Zola Moukoko. Everyone knows what he turns into. But he's another player who you can get on the cheap. Really cracking player. You give him a year, testing waters, give him the right training facilities. Once again, we've got the best training facility videos on our channel, so make sure you give it a watch to give yourself some hints and tips. But Tonton Zola, give him a year and he will be banging on your front door to be playing first team football. Asane and Die. Now everyone knows of Asane. Obviously he has passed away some time ago, but he is an immense defensive midfielder on this game. You think of like Roy Keane's and your Patrick Vieiras, etc., etc. He is just as good as them. The stats may not show it at this moment in time, but you buy him as soon as you can, you play him straight away, and you'll see him develop into one of the best defensive midfielders on this game. Now going on to the next side of the page, one that many people do actually put as a comment on the videos is Sergei Nikiforenko. Once again, another Belarusian player. His stats don't really show that much, but he turns into an absolute beast of a player. Now Sergei, he is valued at £65,000, and I managed to buy him for just over £130,000. You can, when you buy him, you can develop him into an immense player. And like I said, if you play a three-man attacking midfielding team, just imagine the possibilities of having him with maybe Eldar, for example, or Selikovic or Kallstrom, etc., etc. So he is a world beater. Once you give him the right training and you play him, a fair few times, you'll see the difference in his stats straight away. Isaac Okoronkwo, another player that everyone raves about, and rightfully so. He is an absolute beast of a defender. He can play anywhere across the defensive line. He's both-footed. His stats doesn't really show fantastic work, but sign him up, play him, you'll see his stats turn from this into the best defender on the game. He does turn into that damn good. He's valued at £325,000. I mean, you could probably get him for just over £1 million from Shakhtar. I know I think I went to 3 million one game purely because I've got one of these mouses where if you put a price in, it just shoots up straight away just by the click of a button. But you can get them on the cheap, of course. Park Ji-sung. No one actually mentions him, but I bought Park Ji-sung purely because I come across him and I thought, he's a fantastic player when he was at Man United. And when you buy him, honestly, you wouldn't believe that he's a defensive midfielder. Obviously, because he played attacking midfield obviously when he played for Man United. But honestly, he's a brilliant buy, absolutely brilliant buy. I know obviously the work permit issues do come into play, but because he is an important member of the South Korean team and he does get played quite a lot, going through the work permit process, you shouldn't actually have a problem with that at all. Another player which I've come across who I think is amazing, and I came across him whilst I was doing the Greece Road to the World Cup, is Christos here. And honestly, I don't think I managed to. I think I wouldn't have got a half as far as I did with Greece if I didn't have him in my team. I know obviously you can't base it on one player, but the stability that he brings into your team is phenomenal. And I know he plays for Ajax. Obviously, he's worth £2 million, but you can get him for £4 million, and you'd be running away with it. You know, he is that damn good. He brings so much stability into your team. Hugo Pinheiro. Now, obviously, Hugo, he is another goalkeeper which everyone raves about, and rightfully so. You can get him dirt cheap. I mean, you can buy him for just under £50,000 if you get it in right, of course. And once again, 20 years old, you've got him for over 10 years, maybe even 15 if obviously if you train him right and obviously you keep using him. But another player who's dirt cheap, won't cost you that much at all. Radoi, another player that no one really mentions, but well beater, absolute fantastic defender, centre back on this game. I don't play sweeper role, so I play him as centre back, but he's a fantastic player and he's one that you can always rely on in your team. And once again, you can probably buy him for just under £2.5 million. Kieran Richardson. Now, I'm not a fan of having wingers on this game, but Kieran Richardson, he develops into a phenomenal beast on this game. So he's definitely one player that you guys should be looking at, especially if you're managing a lower league club. And if you sign him on a, let's say, hot prospect for the future, you can probably nab him for £375 a week. Frederick Risp, another fantastic defender, another player from Sweden, of course. But he's a brilliant player, really young, and it takes about £1 million to get him away from IFK Gothenburg, and they'll accept the offer, and you've got a fantastic defender throughout the rest of his career for easily 13-14 years. Arjen Robben. Now, obviously, Robben transfers at the end of the season to PSV, of course, but give it a couple of years in PSV, he does get played with them, and he develops fantastically. And when he's 19 years of age, you put a bid in, and he'll just bring you goals, goals, and goals. He sets up just as many goals as you could think of Van Nistelrooy scoring in a season. Now, I know it's probably going a little bit too far-fetched, I do apologise, but that's what it truly feels like. He brings in just as many goals as that. He's a fantastic player. Ibrahim Said, he's another legend on this game. Not a lot of people rave about him anymore, but I think he's still a fantastic player. You do go through the work permit process, but he goes through flying colours every single time. Now, with his club, he is valued at £425,000, so you're probably looking about £1.5 million just to prize him away from Al-Hayli. I can never pronounce that, but once you got him, you'll see the difference. When he plays for your team, you'll notice that it sounds silly saying this because I know it's a game, but you'll see like seems to be more cohesiveness within your defensive unit, and that's what Said brings to the table. Cherno Samba. Everyone knows this legend. Everyone knows he bags you shed loads of goals. And he's one that if you get him at the start of the season, you can probably nab him for just shy of £1 million. And then you've got him. You've got one of the main star attractions on Championship Manager 0102. On the last page, Neil Scally. Now, Neil Scally is one that I was recommended by one of the guys who subscribes to the channel. Obviously, whoever does let me know of any players I've not really known or found out before, I always leave their names in the descriptions, obviously letting them know that obviously they brought that name to me, so it wasn't me actually finding out. But Neil Scally, give him a couple of years if you buy him straight away. He's a beast. I mean, a lot of people say Barry Ferguson's brilliant on this game. Neil Scally's 10 times a player that Barry Ferguson is. And I know he plays in the Scottish League in Ayr, but you see his stats now. Give him 2 years, he turns out an incredible player. Dirt cheap at just shy of £200,000. So he's another cheap player and another player that you can have for a longevity of your career for your club. Angelo Schembri. the second. There's 2 Angelo Schembris. There's one obviously with the first, and the other one's the second. But you buy him dirt cheap. You can get him for £300,000. He put him in a good training program, play him in League Cup games, etc. And you'll see how much he develops, and he is one of these star potential players on one of my other Wonder Kid videos on the channel. You'll see that obviously he's been selected and proven the fact that his potential ability shows in a couple of years' time. He turns out to be a fantastic right back on this game. Mentioned this person before, Stefan Selikovic. Fantastic player. You can see already when you start the game, because obviously he plays in the Swedish league, their season starts a long time before than what England, France, Germany, Spain, etc. play. But in the 12 games, he's been part of 7 goals already, scoring 2 and setting up 5 already. Now, he can play as a centre midfielder, he can play as an attacking midfielder, and he can play as a striker. Me personally, I play him as an attacking midfielder. I will play him as a striker if I'm short of strikers, of course, but his best place, his best role is as an attacking midfielder. No one ever mentions this guy, Andrei Sigporsson. Now, I know obviously he plays for Molde, obviously one of the lower clubs, not lower clubs, he plays for the Norwegian league, but not a major club, lower club. That's what I meant. But he's a brilliant player. No one mentions him. I've bought him before for West Bromwich Albion when I was managing them, and I played him as an attacking midfielder. He was getting high average ratings, but not a lot of assists or goals. So I put him up front, and that changed the story. He was bagging goals like I thought. I bought Michael Dunwell, and with Sigporsson, he's only valued at £30,000. He is dirt cheap, and honestly, for you guys, it doesn't hurt buying him. Just start a new season, buy him, and you can see exactly how well he plays. Everyone's favourite made-up player, Tu Madeira. Fantastic player. He's been labelled as one of the ultimate cheat players on the game. He is one of the cheat players on the game. He bags you 50 plus goals a season if you give him the right formation to play in and the right instructions to do during the game. But once again, you can sign him absolutely dirt cheap. £12,000, you're probably looking about £30,000-40,000, and you've got yourself the ultimate cheap player on CM 0102. Taribo West, one of the best free transfers you can buy on this game. Fantastic player. Obviously, he can play at left back or he can play at centre back, but he is right-footed on this game. His work rate and teamwork is immense when you sign him up for your team, and he's definitely one player that you should have in your team because he brings you so much stability for your team. Rafael van der Vaart. Everyone knows he's one of the best central midfielders on this game. Being 18 as well, you've got just shy of 2 decades of him playing for your club if you sign him at the beginning of the game. Now, there is one player I've missed out, but that's on purpose, of course. I wanted to build up a little bit of tension thinking, okay, he's not mentioned said player. Well, here is that said player. The ultimate Championship Manager 0102 player, Maxim Cygalko. Cygalko unfortunately just passed away Christmas Day last year, but his legend still lives on. I truly believe the fact that even though Maxim Cygalko has passed away, the legend will never die because everyone will continue to buy him, everyone will continue to use him, and everyone knows that he is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best players you can have on this game. So guys, I hope you found this video informative. I hope it's helped you as well. We will be updating the best players to buy on this game as and when I do come across any new players, and obviously we add them on to the list. But the list is forever growing. It really, really is. So if you come across a player who's fantastic on this game, please let me know. Make sure you put the comment down below. So if you do like this video, guys, please smash a like on the video. If you are new to our channel, make sure that you do subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell as well. We're doing new challenges on our channel, and obviously during the course of January we're making sure that we bring out a new video every single day, so you guys got lots and lots of content to obviously watch at our channel. Apart from that, guys, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at our next video at here TGR, That's Gaming Robo. Take care, guys. See you next time.